and tries to get into that backline and delete the Jinx. On the other side, Viego, Lissandra, two champions that if you can get the resets rolling, get those frozen thralls popping off and get the Jinx excited, your turnaround from trying to punish that dive, pretty extreme as well.
Yeah, no, for sure, right? I mean, I agree with Finn. I think Jinx was by far like the best pickup that was left in the pool. The problem is, you're playing against the likes of GP, you're playing against Ari, you're playing against so much dive potential on this. It's gonna be hard for the Jinx to pilot this game, but if he can do it well, I mean, obviously Chrisberg is such a good AD carry, right? He is gonna be able to do it. I was actually so excited to see the Lulu pickup. We thought kind of during the analyst, we said that probably it's gonna be like a kind of a bot side focus game, especially now when they pick Leon, it's kind of forcing Astralis to play with the mid jungle into bot. Probably Carson is going to be chilling on the top side, just scaling. Top side, yeah.
I mean, like, look, don't get me wrong, mid jungle could be a little bit explosive, but we're expecting those mid jungles to take pressure from there and then take it bot, right? You're trying to make things happen down there. And for the side of Bifrost, they started off with a win, as did Astralis back on Monday, but they had two very different spring splits. Bifrost came out at the end of that split as one of our stronger teams. They made it all the way to the finals. They made it into the EU Masters quarterfinals, going through play-ins. They had a pretty extraordinary run, and we were praising their team fighting, particularly their late game. A little bit suspect of their early game. The additions of particularly Diamond Prox and of course Highway coming in to replace Dual, who was our MVP bot lane, honestly. He was, if anything, he was one of the stronger parts of their early game. Diamond Prox, though, is known for being a notoriously aggressive early pathing jungler. Very, very famous that way back from season 1 and 2. On the other side for Astralis, last split, they were haunted by their inactivity in the early game, how unproactive they were. We saw a lot more proactivity from them on Monday, but we need to see that continuing because they have stuck with a lot of the same team members, only switching out their support for Kiba.
Yeah, and this kind of also the reason why I have actually Astralis on my prediction, because
I've got Bifrost, so we're split up.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I mean, I'm a huge Diamond Prox fanboy, so there's a certain amount of bias there, and I'm not ashamed of it.
It's completely okay. I'm also a fanboy of Diamond Prox. Obviously, we all are. It's so incredible, nice to have him in our league. Fury now taking quite a good trade onto Senkus. What I was gonna say is Astralis on Monday, they were kind of winning every single lane. It was a bit of a draft diff, honestly, but if you look at Bifrost, as you mentioned, they've kind of been not struggling so far. I think on Monday they were actually playing their lanes quite well, but in history they have been kind of struggling to in the early game. They've been kind of the team that's the scales into the team fight. As Arkaro mentioned, if you're kind of even with Bifrost at 25-minute mark, probably gonna lose. But if Astralis can snowball the lanes, I'm good for them.
One of the big extraordinary turnarounds from last split was Bifrost versus Astralis, where Astralis had massive leads. Carlson on this Renekton, an incredible point, and they could not convert the Drake fights. Their Dragon setups were notoriously poor, and we need to see what happens in this one, because, again, Tax is someone who has sometimes, particularly last split, been criticized, I think it's fair to say, for being somewhat inactive in the early game, not getting enough done, despite priority in lanes and stuff. We need that not to be happening here in this split, especially considering the attempt to stick with this roster, as it Highway does look for a little engage there in the bot side, but down that level, making things a bit tricky. Diamond Prox was around to see whether something could be done, but spotted that by an early ward as well. So just some aggressive trading in the mid lane as Senkox takes a pretty hefty trade there in the mid lane as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just going to be looking so much on this this mid matchup. Obviously, Lissandra picked so many times in MSI into the Ari and been like kind of coming out on top.
Saw both Shaho and Faker doing extraordinary things on that champion in the finals particularly.
Exactly, and we're just excited to see now both minions kind of trading aggressively onto each other. It's going to be... It's kind of similar here, like both if one middle gets ahead, kind of take over the game. So I'm looking at
huge roaming pressure from both, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just looking forward to see both the Giants pathing to mid now. Kiba on his way.
So is Taxer, actually. Fury's got to be a little bit aware here, being slowed down, trying to walk out, not burn the flash, gets a good charm. The turnaround, that massive engage. Diamond Prox and Highway are there for the turnaround. Take your hat off, Highway. That was a grand entrance into the mid lane if I've ever seen one.
Oh, that was it, right? I was just talking about how this mid lane matchup is so snowball, and every single player on side of Bifrost and Astralis knows this.
He still got both summoners.
He got obliterated. That's what I was wanting to say. Senkox now doesn't even have the TP, right? Like he's forced to just walk back, the walk of shame, rather, after having such a good performance on Monday, right? Fury. I mean, obviously, look like Fury trying to clear the wave and try to get away, right? But they managed to turn it around.
That invis there, just so much work, and gets very heavily punished very quickly there. The burst from the Rakan and the Wukong, you can see how quickly those engages come through. Not really at the point where the turnaround burst is there for Astralis.
No, for sure, right? I mean, such a good W there from Highway onto the Rakan. I mean, actually, I feel like so many supports that have been playing so well. They're kind of on point on the map. They're finding these engages, you know. I mean, it's just so incredible to see, and especially from seen actually both Nautilus and Rakan kind of popping off, it's just nice to see that the level of the league is kind of developing, and the supports are actually developing as well. I mean, I've been so critical of supports in the past. I've been kind of flaming them a lot. I mean, it's kind of classic, right? AD flaming support flaming AD. But it's nice to see that these guys didn't know how to play the map.
Absolutely. And Shikari right now as well into a matchup which Finn has been somewhat leery of, I think. There's been a lot of debate around the Gwen Gangplank matchup, and yes, it's playable for the Gangplank, but never mind that. We've got a bot lane to talk about as the engage come through, but the turnaround now from Tax, but Diamondprox is actually around, could punish that one. He's going to start dashing forwards, gets a lot of damage down with those crushing blows. So much work coming through onto Tax, who now has to back out very quickly. Highway did burn the flash, but so did Chrisberg. So support for AD carry, but of course that Rakan so much more mobile than the Jinx.
Yeah, and it's just one of the facts as well. I mean, obviously Rakan being blind picked so much, and Leona is generally like kind of an answer to it. But since Rakan on this Highway, probably he's just taking like so much tenacity in his runes. So actually, it's so hard for the Leona to catch out the Rakan. He has to go for the likes of the Ahri, who also have so much more mobility, and the Kais as well. They have cleanse. It's gonna be kind of hard for Kiba to find a lot of engages in this one. He's kind of lucky though, because Bifrost obviously wanna just go for that backline threat, so he's gonna for sure be able to at least stun someone.
Shikari here as well, walking out of the river there. I was a little bit worried he was going to get himself caught out there, but no, won't quite happen as yet as Taxa takes a hold of that Skull Crab. And once again, we're seeing a little bit of a trade here from Shikari. That's very cruel. And Carlson down a lot of mana here, could be in a spot of bother. Does manage to get away as that Trial by Fire does proc a little bit more, and it'll stop the reset being as easy. What I was about to say is we've seen, again, this kind of particular choice from the likes of Diamondprox, where this again is into a Viego matchup where there's a lot of pressure towards ganking, counter-ganking, and now towards this objective control at the cost of some personal farm. It's down a couple camps at this point, and yes, you can try and clear some of those up as some of those respawns come through and the resets on those camps, but it has put it behind the tempo, at least personally, for global gain. And we saw that particularly on Monday, where Staffen on the Viego did get pretty significant advantages individually, even if it came at a cost of Soul Point and a couple of Heralds and the rest of it, but that was the trade that was made. We're going to see instead a play towards the spot side. Going to try and get in onto that Jinx, and I was too busy talking about what was going on in those plays with around the jungle. Diamond just comes in and ganks again, gets himself a kill.
Yeah, I mean, this is just what you mentioned, right? Highway trading his flash with Chrisberg earlier, and now it's just super easy for them to get on top of him. And I mean, it's just one kill. You could say that it's not a lot, but it's gonna be snowballing. I mean, Crispy's gonna lose at least one wave here, and Odd is gonna get kind of a free base where...
Actually a plate as well, if he wants to stick for it.
Exactly, and this is kind of what you don't want, because as Jinx, you're such a prior machine, but if you get caught like this, you're kind of giving Kai'Sa the free resets. Odd is gonna be just really comfortable on this. I think this is really greedy to stay for, I'm just gonna be honest. Stay for the plate. You're kind of gonna lose on out on a lot of tempo. Could mean that...
I guess you've got 3 minutes until the Ocean Drake. Herald is up, but I guess you're feeling maybe you don't feel that worried about contesting. And actually, they're looking for a bit of a bait. Odie's going to back away now. Oh, this is bold. Odie's got 6. They could think about it. Do get that Icathian Rain solo onto Kiba. Diamondprox is down and has level 6. That is a discussion here. They decide we don't want to reset. We want to look for an engage. Chrisberg still has no flash. This is an option.
Yeah, I mean, they're just both gonna...
Oh, Kiba's gone so deep. He's in a lot of trouble now. The turnaround is that's a big grand entrance. Diamondprox still not revealed. He's baited them all in. In they go with the Nimbus strike. Kiba flashes out. Is burning down. Doesn't quite survive. Don't even need to use anything more. They get another kill, and Chrisberg dies for another time in this bot side.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, right, Taxer kind of getting ahead here on the farm department, but Diamondprox getting 2 crucial kills, so still gonna be ahead in that gold lead. And I mean, honestly, it looked like from a second I was scared of Diamondprox. He was not moving up in the lane. I thought it was disconnected or something, but he was just waiting. Maybe Taxer was gonna show himself and realizes he's not gonna do that. So he just gets out one. Kiba flashes out, all good. And yeah, I mean, Bifrost just keep play through this bot lane. And I was gonna say that it's hard for Kiba to find Highway in this game. Now Rakan has QSS for his item as well. It's gonna be tough to kill this Rakan.
Diamond heads into this Herald pit. Taxa did just secure the Rift Herald, but there's been some resets coming through, and Chrisberg towards his bot side will not be available to come and contest. Odie's around and has, of course, got the Killer Instinct available, so pretty easy for him to follow up here at this point. Herald likely to be secured as Astralis decides to try and get some pressure in this mid lane.
Yeah, Astralis just gonna be kind of forced to cross up here, right?
Yeah.
Diamondprox, obviously, the objective control god that he is, but this could actually turn out to be good for Astralis as well, because as you see, Taxa is so far ahead still in the CS department. They're going to be able to get at least the Krugs, I assume, and
maybe not. They're looking to try and get some plates here towards spots. Instead, he's going to reset. Realizes it's probably a bit bold with Fury kind of around and Odie there as well. Be a little bit scary, and actually he needs to be a little bit scared on his recall. He does just about get out in time. Not quite securing that second plate. It's going to be very close. Cathian Rain prevents it going down as well.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a nice extra pickup for Chrisberg, right? But not going to be able to get it, and now this is the dangerous part, right? If Jinx decides to just... he's going to cancel his recall. If it doesn't, he would just lose one way for free, which is not really what you want. But it's going to mean that Bifrost is now going to have the control once again on this bot side. Taxer going up to the top side. They're going to see him on a ward, so probably not going to get anything going here unless Fury...
Fury is going to get engaged. There's the ultimate into the cleanse, though, so Fury will pop ult for ult plus that cleanse, so he is now a little bit more vulnerable in the mid lane, but does stay alive now, looking for the charm. Does land it onto Senkos, gets a big chunk back. Lysandra may well be forced to back out of the lane now as Shikari actually continuing to be a bit of a bully in this top side. Casting down to about half the HP bar. We have actually got ourselves a tweet to check in on as well as Finn watching from the NLC, now at home at the Freaks For You studios here in Berlin. It's a cool studio. It is a cool studio. I don't know whether this is cheating, Finn.
Yeah. I'm going to let it slide.
You gotta understand. I mean, it's very cool. I mean, look, you could even see our producer. Look at Pascal in the background now, looking intently at all the screens.
Ooh,
look at that shirt.
Yeah.
Beautiful style of fashion.
Yeah, really beautiful stuff there.
And actually, never mind that. Live and engage in the jungle. We'll have to talk about Finn's choice of fashion later on as Diamond does pop the Cyclone, but gets out aside from that. So not too much more lost for it as the Dragon has spawned. They've still got Herald in inventory, plus of course a Divine Sunder in the Wukong's pocket, courtesy of all the early kills. And they're just going to turn onto this Dragon. Continue to snowball this game up about 2,000 gold. Now with the early Dragon, still got a Herald to work with. Actually, I believe they've summoned the Herald already, so actually, they haven't summoned the Herald. It was just the trinket slot recharging, whatever it is, once you smite. Yes. So I got a little bit confused by that's what it was. Remember the name of that particular item slot just afterwards, and they can continue to make this game even more fast-paced. And Bifrost's early game here looking pretty stellar. Yeah,
and I mean, that was like one of the reasons why I predicted Astralis. I thought they were able to maybe just snowball for their lanes, but Bifrost has been, I mean, playing super solid in this one so far, and now have the Herald in their control. Looks like they're just gonna go to the bot side. Senkos kind of forced to face check here, doesn't have the best vision. He's gonna be forced to walk around. Could just be a tower here for Bifrost.
Yeah, I mean, Diamond is definitely a long way back in terms of the levels right now. He's level 7, could be a bit suspect here. Gonna try and get this charge in. Should happen. Yes, it does. There they go. Can't quite secure the last plate. There was Chrisberg. Hops forward trying to get a little bit more, but they won't be able to get too much else out of that. 4 plates and a sliver of HP remaining on that bot side tier 1.
Yeah, I got bad flashbacks there from our last game when 2 Heralds got denied on the side of Dusty. And if that would have been the case here, Astralis would have been super happy, right? But they managed to get it off. Taxer still so far ahead in terms of the farm department, but Diamondprox's been making plays happening, and that means that they're heading gold still.
Absolutely they are, and like, look, it's meant that the mid and the bot lane are very, very far ahead, and Chrisberg, a critical part of the Astralis comp, is significantly further behind. I think that is a trade that Bifrost have been willing to make. It's certainly one that appears to have been a conscious choice, if you know what I mean. This doesn't feel like something that's been done without thought, but we have to see now what Taxa can do with the choice he's made, right? He's gone towards this Viego, he's managed to keep up the farm, he's got ahead in the level, but we need to see this Viego in the mid game now really make something work.
Yeah, I mean, no, for sure, right? I think for sure Bifrost is willing to take that trade any day. Obviously, getting your AD carry behind it's whenever that happens, it's just so hard to get him back into the game.
Says the AD carry man.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just super biased, just play for bot every single time.
There it is, first turret.
But maybe I can blame that on my former top laners as well, because if my top laners were good, they would just carry the game. I wouldn't care. I was just performing on bot, but that has not been happening. I'm
hearing just a touch of salt. Like, I didn't realize it was a cooking stream, but the you know, the seasonings are coming out. well salted here in the NLC studio. Apparently, as pretty as it might be, Senkux does land the ultimate. Fury flashing away this time, but does stay alive. Doesn't burn the cleanse, hasn't got the ultimate available to his name, so did have to burn the additional summon. But they haven't really been able to make this Ahri truly pay in the mid lane, despite a couple attempts in.
Yeah, I mean, just looks like whenever Fury has his cleanse up, it's just impossible. He's just playing super in Senkuk's face, and Senkuk can't really trade back without the help of Taxa, but I mean, Taxa there using his flash for Fury's flash, sure, could be okay, but I mean, Ahri is just gonna be happy with that. Still gonna have his ultimate up, still gonna have his cleanse back up, so I mean, yeah, this looks like this mid lane matchup, I've seen this go so many ways, but this time around, it just looks like Ahri is OP.
So, I was talking, as unsurprisingly, to Nymera about this one because we were watching the MSI finals, and he was saying, look, this is actually a very swingy matchup in the early levels, because if Lissandra can force Ahri off the wave a little bit earlier on, you can prevent her from getting her passive proc on the third wave. I think it was. Forgive me, Alex. I'm not sure I quite got all the details down. But that's the idea. If you can get the Ahri off early on, you can kind of force that pressure then and continue to snowball from there. And you also, of course, you force the cleanse. But never mind that, as Taxa gets engaged on, goes down despite going unstoppable. Odie gets that one, his first kill of the game. Diamond now in a spot of bother, but is now trying to retreat back out. Does flash, but Odie is on finding Carlson, flashes over the wall away from the Gwen. Highway have to flash out as well. That's a lot of big summoners, and Carlson can now be an absolute terror. Mega Death Rocket claims Diamond, and they get a little bit too deep, and now Carlson has burned the ultimate, can be traded back onto. There is a blast cone, doesn't really have anywhere to go, gets knocked up, and the Gwen, not gonna quite fall, but Highway's Ignite gets it, and makes it a trade that is still favorable for Bifrost, as Fury starts heading forward. Can't quite secure Crisberg, who burns both the flash and the heal across that fight.
So much going on there, like 40-second fight right off the bat there. I mean, looks so good initially for Bifrost. This is not what you want when your jungler is kind of AFK farming for the first 50 minutes of the game. Gets one tapped, basically. Then it just looks kind of rough, right? But Bifrost actually goes so deep, and now Carlson is on the flank. He's gonna be able to get at least one kill, but then he actually gives it over to Crisberg, who is so crucial that Jinx gets this kill, gets his shutdown. He's gonna be able to stabilize the game a bit, and yeah, but still, I mean, good proactivity there from Bifrost, just managing to, they know how the prios, they can walk into the jungle and look at the vision actually that they have. It's so depressing.
But you see, that jungle was clearly Bifrost, and so he went the wrong way down the highway. Highway punishes. That's the way that one works out, as Diamond dodges another Spectral Maw. We've seen that twice in a row now, as Dragon has spawned. This will be soul point for Bifrost. You might want to contest this. Bifrost is still thinking about this one as the rest of the team comes down the mid lane. Control ward over the back, and of course, Wukong is very hard to keep out of the pit. Astralis, though, still starting it up. They are down the flash on Crisberg, but this is going to be a climactic fight. In goes Diamond. That's still secured, though, by Astralis. Not quite there in time by Bifrost, but can they punish the retreat? Doesn't look like it, as Astralis managed to get their way out, but it will cost the mid lane pressure and likely the turret as well.
And this is just kind of a, I mean, they're still ahead, right, Bifrost, but it's kind of a disaster, honestly. Shikari moving with his team towards the Drake. They might be able to get the mid tower, as you mentioned.
Close. Odie gets Solar Flared, will cleanse out of that, and the tower does fall in trade for that cleanse, as of course Shikari teleported top to make sure that tower didn't fall. So still a trade there for Bifrost. They don't just give up the dragon for nothing, and they'll likely get a second Herald here as well anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good, right? Carlson maybe could have pressure the tower a bit more. I saw him actually walking off the way once he pushed it in. I mean, he was not really sure where Shikari was. But all good. I mean, Astralis gets the tower, but
gonna lose the top one as well here.
Gonna lose the top and the Herald. Now actually we see all of the outer towers gone for Astralis. Actually, not yet, because Shikari is being a cheeky little guy.
There's a word you were thinking of there. Yeah, well done. As Diamonds are waiting for Kiba. He's going to take so much damage, but there's no flash on this one. So there is the killer instinct, and Kiba is dead to right. Well, Zenith Blade, but it's Diamond who picks that one up. 100% kill participation for both him and Highway in this game so far.
Yeah, I mean, they just been, Trouble talked about it before the game, right? Maybe it's going to be quite rough in the early split when you get a new jungler, you get a new support as well. Maybe the synergy is not the best at times, and these roles are,
that's so
let's face it, jungle support, they are so broken in competitive, I have to say. I mean, every role has
Crisberg cannot walk that way. He's just going to get taken so much damage. Highway's there as well, and the ult will secure it. They're going to hop over the wall. Highway Duke battle dances over to the Ahri, and Crisberg can't even leave his base. Herald gets a tier 2 in topside. The cannon barrage in the bot side prevents that tower from falling down, so you're going to have to see a recall coming through, and Bifrost continue to put the foot down on the throat of Astralis, and they are choking out in this game. The 3-tap hasn't come through from the referee, but it's getting blurringly close.
Yeah, I would have preferred Astralis there to just kind of force the Herald to hit the inhibitor, maybe even drop it because they're so far behind.
Yeah.
They need every resource they can get. Is it gonna be able
That's
to...
unfortunate. Fury didn't quite time that right. He's got a flash, may need to burn it. Is there going to be a stop on the reset? Shikari's around, has stopped his reset, but that might now be a serious punish. Shikari gets hit by the rocket, and Bifrost, is this a mistake that will punish you even more? Fury burns both flash and cleanse and falls. Baron's on the table, and Astralis are around the pit. Do they want to go for the flip? It's going to be a 20-minute one, and I don't know how bold they're feeling. I don't think they're quite going to do it. They just can't quite make it work, not with the damage slacking they have.
Yeah, I mean, they're so far behind. They don't really have the ultimates from Tax and from Carlson as well. They need to wait their coolness again. But I mean, good pickup there. They're kind of slowing down the tempo a bit of the game, and it's not nearly enough. They still need to keep making this kind of cross-map plays happening. I don't think. I mean, Bifrost could look to force the Nash, right? But if Astralis can just make sure that they know the next play of Bifrost and go the other way, they can claim these bounties and can kind of stall the game for a bit. But it's looking rough for Astralis, let me tell you that.
It really is right now. Still, that's nearly 9,000 gold lead, frankly. That is pretty crazy at 20 minutes into the game. Right, if we can have a flick over to the gold police production just to see where all of that discrepancy lies, that would be a pleasure. But of course, we've got a replay to go through first, so I'll bite my tongue on that one as we see. This was the attempt to Sankuk's self-ults.
That is...
Oh dear.
You only watched the only...
Oh dear. And then another oh dear as we see the gold discrepancies.
Yeah.
It's 1,000 in the jungle, it's 1,500 in the top side, it's 2,000 in the bot lane, it's 1,500 in the mid lane. Just everywhere for Bifrost is monumentally ahead.
Yeah. That is just kind of sad to watch, honestly. I mean, Shikari as well, going kind of smart item there, going more second, so he can like kind of face anyone. It's can face Senkos, can face Carlson. It's not going to be able to get touched in a side lane like this, and that just sucks for Astralis, right? Because they're kind of forced to group mid, and that's
coming behind. He can make this one a really nasty moment. Does he feel like pulling the trigger? Decides against it. About a minute until that dragon. If it had gone wrong, that would have been a pretty problematic point to go down as a jungler. Yep. Got to credit as well, right? Like, this is a game where Shikari had a rough one on Monday. This gangplank into Gwen, something that was a bit of a debate. Shikari pretty handily won, had the shove early on, forced Carlson, even when they got that pick off in the jungle, to cede a whole wave and a half of the top lane turret. Lost that turret as well. This gangplank has kind of neutralized pretty much every side lane. They're going to lose a Baron here as well. They've got 6 towers down. They've only got 1 outer tower remaining in that bot side. The inhibitor tower towards the top side's already gone. Bifrost have taken what they've learned at European Masters and are currently putting it into practice here in day 2 of the NLC. They are truly in command.
They're just putting up like a super show, honestly. I mean, on Monday they looked kind of shaky, really, you know, playing with so many subs.
Some poor mid-game plays.
Yes, that is an understatement, I think. But today, looks like they're really cleaning up. Chrisberg now has flash. Prox, though.
He was really thinking about that. Highways around as well. He could think about it. He's going to go in with the quickness of the grand entrance. Chrisberg now flashing up, and he's into the cannon barrage. And there's a charm to pull him straight back into the firing line. That will be a full 20-watt gun salute to Chrisberg, who dies again this game. He has been put under the cosh so many times. A 4th death for the AD carry of Astralis.
It's, yeah, Chrisberg. I mean, I know how it feels, man. You're playing Jinx. It's not the most mobile champion, of course, and you're just getting kind of abused early on. That early flash trade from Highway was actually really crucial in this game. When they get one kill, they can just kind of keep going back to bot, but now, Highway, going for some
permanently punished. Highway has got a battle dance down, of course, Guardian for a shield. A barrel lands, not that much damage at this point, of course, the Maw is not a crit item, but Shikari has done just fine. He has played what he needs to. This is weak side gangplank being played fantastically well. The Baron's still on for a minute and a half, and look at Fury. He's walking into an empty inhibitor that will be his for the taking. Yeah.
I mean, Bifrost just has to like push in all 3 lanes, so they're kind of just
what is
choking
us do to a Baron minion? That is so sad.
I mean, I guess Senkos is 12 years up. It's something, right? But cannot really fight even those minions with the Baron buff. It's just looking clean from Bifrost, honestly. They're pressuring every single lane. They're not getting caught. And it's not yet. Please, let me make sure I don't cast the curse.
We've done that once already today. Let's not do that again. Is Fury continuing to just shove in, trying to get this one. Taxter coming around. This inhibitor hasn't been secured. Fury has got cleanse, flash, ultimate, pops the ultimate. Dashes away, but now the ult is down. Inhibitor's still standing, actually, due to that swift rotation. But what's it going to cost him? It cost him that outer turret in the bot side, of course, but no inhibitors themselves have actually fallen. So Astralis getting away with it thus far. Those 40 seconds still on this Baron mean there's at least a minion wave to go.
So this is at least one improvement there that Bifrost can have, right? They didn't really match... I mean, they didn't really sync their waves there, which is so important when you play with Nash, because now Astralis went 3 people to the top side. If they would have mid wave and bot wave crashing at the same time, it would just be disaster. They would probably lose 2 inhibs of that, but now they lose kind of nothing. And they're actually able to stall this Baron away. I was gonna say the good thing as well is that there's a Cloud Soul in this game, but if I look at Bifrost...
There's a lot of people who love that Cloud Soul.
Yes,
Wukong, Ari, Rakan, Kaiser. You know what happens when you press R? I want to move even faster. That sounds wonderful. Chrisberg is crying right now looking at that. Like, that Cloud Soul is really good.
Yep, it's really sad for Chrisberg, honestly. I mean, playing Jinx as well, he can't really... Again, like I don't really see... I think Kraken Slayer is just almost like 9 out of 10 times best on the Jinx as well. And I mean, maybe he should have gone for Gaze, but I'm not sure. He's just so far behind. So like, it's just super hard. Doesn't really matter, honestly. And
I mean, I'm looking at 3 items in for this gangplank. I'm looking at 3 items in on the Kaiser who's trying to go towards an Infinity Edge 4th. But that PD means that even if you're diving into Gwen, you've kind of got enough burst here, but probably a Wukong and a Kaiser likely to delete. Carlson has been kind of kept a certain amount out of this game. Of course, 2 items on the Gwen. I hesitate a little to say that, but all the same, the siege still continues. Shikari now the one shoving in towards that toxic. Gets a chunk onto Kiba with a barrel chain, of course.
Yep.
And this is the 2-lane pressure that Bifrost are going to try and continue to leverage into securing that inhibitor they were denied during the Baron.
I mean, they have so much time, right? They don't even have to go for the Drake on spawn. They can just take it on exit, and now they don't have the mid wave again, so gonna be forced to go and group up for its topside inhib. Not sure if they're gonna be able to rotate onto the mid as well, but honestly, I just look at this comp.
Charm lands so much damage onto Senkox. Oni forces herself out of Senkox. Highway now in with a massive quickness into the cannon barrage. And that will be a dead mid laner alongside the support. Senkox falls down. You can rename as many times as you like. What you really are is dead. What you really are is aced. And Bifrost are going to come out with a much cleaner game in day 2 of the summer split here in NLC. They took their learning from the European Masters, and they are schooling the rest of the NLC.
Super clean performance from Bifrost. I mean, they just from top to bottom, this lane phase was super clean today. I mean, I have to give it especially to Fury. This guy was just completely popping off. He should have been under a lot of pressure from Taxer, from Senkox as well, but this looked like straight sailing from there. And once he gets the Banshees, the cleanse, it's just impossible for us to do anything. And Bifrost gets the win.
Oh, yes, they do. One turnaround gank in the mid lane. A bit of a